Hi there, I'm Craig Hill. I'm a guest on Sloss and Humphries on the road. That's quite a mouthful, isn't it? I'll say it again. Sloss and Humphries on the road. I'm going to be a guest. I am a guest. I've just been a guest. And we have had such a laugh chatting about me, particularly growing up gay. All of us doing gigs abroad in Kuala Lumpur, having the right glass for your, your alcohol, being hungover, having fun, building up to the Fringe. We've actually just had such a good laugh. I've really, really enjoyed it, and I think you'll enjoy it too. So watch, and if you are on Patreon, you can watch in advance, and you've got lots of benefits. So I would jump on that immediately. But it's such a fun thing to be a guest on. I can't wait to come back and do it again. Thanks for joining us.
Sloss and Humphries on the road.
Muggins and Cream, Cream and Muggins, straight thuggin', living the dream.
And that's our intro.
Fucking muggles.
Tickling the clit inside your head that makes you laugh.
Tias for fears. That's going to be my get-in sentence.
For the Geordie accent.
For the Geordie accent. When we were at drama course, you had to have a get-in sentence for an accent. So, for example, if you did New York, your get-in sentence was, "The flowers have been delivered."
Yeah.
So you do that, and then you go, that's when it gets you in.
I was so expecting, like, I'm walking here would have been the obvious one, but what did you go with? The flowers?
The flowers have been delivered. Oh my God.
Yep.
Something falling off the wall.
Craig, that was the Judge Dread badge. Say that.
The what?
Judge Dread badge.
Judge Dread badge.
There you go, yeah.
Yes.
Now say it fast.
That is your Sloss.
Is that my tongue twister?
That's just Sloss and Humphries on the road in.
Yeah.
What was the one you said yesterday you loved? Oh, that you kept on playing that game yesterday. The word you say in American accent that makes it sound like you're speaking Glaswegian.
Oh yeah, I think we've talked about this on the podcast
Space
before.
Ghetto.
Yeah, that really does work, doesn't it?
Space Ghetto in an American accent sounds like Spice Girl in a
I
school.
love it, Space Ghetto. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
My get-in for the Northern Irish accent is from my French teacher. It was Northern Irish. So that's sit down now. Ça va aujourd'hui? Comment t'appelles-tu?
Ça va aujourd'hui?
Où est la bibliothèque?
That's brilliant.
That's so funny.
Oh man, she was the best. Mrs. Falls, you're not listening to this, but she was supportive of my career.
Well, it's funny because I talk about my French teacher in my new show.
Yeah?
Well, just because I just remembered her saying to me, Craig Hill, there's a fine line between being cheeky and being funny, and you don't know it. Well, look at me now. I did not make the career, one of them.
Yeah. Well, both of them, you do, that's how you know.
But that is a fine line, isn't
where the line is. The reason the conversation for getting into accents yesterday is we were all at a barbecue hosted by Natalie and her fiance. And
she's really nice.
Yeah, she's great. And, she's got a weak taste in men. But,
you know what I felt like Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec. Oh, that just cut off. I felt like Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec yesterday because Natalie was just being really capable and I was just like useless.
Yeah.
Like season 1 where he's going with Anne.
Yeah. Back when he's big fat Chris Pratt.
Yeah, and her knowledge, she has the same penchant.
Excuse me, did I just get body shaped?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, in a way.
She has the same penchant that I have for drinking the proper drink out of the proper glass.
Oh, see, I have some standards for that. Like, there was one time we were doing must have been during the Fringe. We were obviously all coked off our fucking heads, and we came back here and we had red wine. And Kai was just like, "Let me get glasses." And I was like, "I'm washing the wine glasses." He's like, "Just any glass." I'm like, "We're not for wine. We're not doing just any, like a fucking mug or a whiskey glass. No. But I will accept, like if you're having a vodka Coke, you can have that in a mug because."
I don't know.
No?
Nah, even yesterday. And I was really impressed because Natalie instinctively did it. Because we started with Prosecco, and you've got beautiful Prosecco glasses. Yeah, you've only got 2 as well.
I think that was a wedding gift from us.
They felt weddingy.
Aye.
I thought these are posh. I'm going to buy these and marry myself.
Either that or I've just taken credit for somebody else. I have no idea what we got you for the wedding. Cara will tell me.
I think you might have got us the big wine glasses that we took around the woods yesterday.
Oh.
We took them into the wild.
Yeah.
You know how when you were kids you used to just drink in the street, but it would be like a bag of cans or MD 2020.
No, you and I had very different childhoods.
I know you never.
I had a very similar childhood to you. I remember wearing a long Echo and the Bunnymen kind of Mac, like they wore like long coats, and I tried to sneak all my beers, or as you would say, beer. How you say it again?
Beers.
Yes.
My beers. Why does that sound like that's my girlfriend? She's my beer. I don't know why. It sounds cool. But anyway, I tried to sneak my beers in like 3 in one pocket, 3 in the other pocket in my long coat.
Yeah.
And into the cinema to see. I think it was Superman.
Just like a Jakey Matrix.
Like a Jakey Matrix. And I was, exactly like that. And
then trench coat, like you were selling them. Like, do you want to buy a beer?
Yeah, and this guy was like, "You've got 6 beers in that coat, haven't you?" I was like, "Oh my God, you're like some genius." And he's like, "Put them in that bush outside, and I bet you when you come out after Superman, they'll still be there."
Yeah.
And he's got right, I don't think so. And I put them in a bush. Came out, and they were still there.
Nature's fridge.
Nature's fridge. But yeah, so my childhood was more like yours. I would well sneak about with beers in a coat.
But to drink in the street though.
Well,
no, we'd go over the pit heap.
We'd go to a park.
Hold on, say the most Geordie sentence again.
We used to drink our cans over the pit heap.
It's not. You weren't raised in the 30s.
What, you stick in the
Why are you
dump?
drinking near a coal mine? Get over it.
It's the Bella heap. Bella is short for Isabella. That's not what I mean. Someone did drink Bella on the Bella heap.
Right.
That's just
I don't even know what Bella is.
I'm impressed you know what pit heap is.
Aye.
I didn't know what pit heap was. So that's
Pit heap. It's when they like dig the land and then just leave the mound of earth where they've excavated.
Yeah.
Pit heap.
In Newcastle, that's where they make hills.
Yeah, it did make you sound like Stig of the Dump. Like we used to. What did you say? We used to drink things in the pit heap.
I was actually chatting to Natalie about the Bella heap because there's this caged bridge right going over the railway line, and it used to just be this like you would just walk along the outside of it, but it didn't feel that dangerous because you could get your fingers through the cage bit.
Oh, so you'd actually climb on the
outside of the bridge and go around it, and it was the train tracks. And I just remember one of the older kids just fucking like on it, like doing it, and then the train went by full of coal.
Was it above the railway line?
And he was above the railway line. It goes by so slow that like, jump on one of them, jump on one of the carriages, and he fucking did, and he jumped and he just disappeared off into the distance.
God, he did not.
He just fucked off towards Blythe Power Station. Cool.
That is absolutely brilliant.
And this would be like fucking time.
That's like one of the, when people say if somebody said jump, would you do it? And the person did, and he did.
He did. He was on the way. He was like, "What do I do?" We're like.
Just this real coal-covered conductor coming down. He's never had to take a ticket in his life. Hold on.
That reminds me, for some reason, that reminds me of the time I was in Cooper, waiting for my friend who worked in Cooper, and it was a beautiful day, and there was a beautiful railway bridge, and I stood on the railway bridge. I was sitting on the railway bridge, just going, "Oh, life's good. This is a nice day. My friend's going to be here in 15 minutes. I'll just have a lovely moment." And I was just contemplating how nice life was. And somebody phoned the police and said they thought I was about to commit suicide. Somebody phoned the police, and the police came up to me and said, "Excuse me, are you going to top yourself?" And I said, "What's this? Your skillful way of talking me down?"
No. But thank you for correctly assuming I'm a top.
Yes. "Are you a top yourself?" They said, and I go, "It's none of your business, handsome officer." No, he said, "Are you going to top yourself?" And
you've got to hit your bottom before you top yourself.
And I was just thinking, like, if somebody was going to do that, that wouldn't be that's not a very helpful sentence.
Yeah.
So he said, "You're going to top yourself," as if they're going to go, "Yeah." Anyway, so I said, "No, why did you think that?" And he went, "A woman just phoned and said you look like you're about to jump off the bridge." I said, "This is not my jump off the bridge face.
Yeah, this is
my life is good face."
Excuse me, are you going to neck yourself? Sorry, just the neighbours say you've got the neck yourself. Look about you. Is
Neck
that?
yourself.
Sorry, do I need to hit you with my baton so you didn't fucking die?
And so he took my word for it. I mean, if I was suicidal, you wouldn't have known. I mean, because he just walked away.
I checked. He said he wasn't. He
said he-
and then he
exactly.
jumped. What more do you want me to do, Steve? I asked the cunt if he was going to top himself.
I
He
was
said
and walked
no.
off.
I fucked off. Next thing I know, my back's covered in jam, and you're yelling in my
Oh my
face.
God.
His last words were "psych, motherfucker."
But what made me laugh was he said, "Okay," then walked away, and then I had to find the woman, didn't I? I was like, "Where is she?" And then I saw this curtain twitching, so she was like that. She was holding the curtain, and then I started going like that. Which was terrible. It was just because I thought she was being a bit dramatic because she
Just
saw
yell it,
someone sitting on a wee.
I want you to watch, bitch.
you should have phoned the police on her house saying that you saw her just like carrying some rope in and she stood on a chair at the minute. And,
oh my God!
just keep phoning the police on each other.
But it was the irony of.
Will you two stop this this arms race?
But it was the irony of somebody thinking you were doing something so awful in a moment that was so lovely.
Yeah.
It was so ironic. It was the opposite of what I was thinking. I was thinking life was lovely on that railway bridge. I love the fact that your little story of a child jumping onto a coal on a train.
Did you ever get him back, or is he just like part of?
He wasn't one of my mates. He was just one of the other lads.
Or did he just get turned into electricity like fucking Stranger Things?
The only way
He's never been seen since.
There's just heaps of power. I don't know what happened. Man, turns out Steve was filled with energy. That's why he was so excited to jump on the train.
The thing about Steve, he could always feel the fire.
It's such a Geordie origin story that he got filled with energy from coal.
A Geordie origin story is a Georgian story.
Oh, well, so this is the bit we were doing before the podcast. You, obviously, as our listeners will know, have a silly accent. And what was the question you wanted to ask him with the name of the band?
Oh, yes. I'm going to make you say things in my favourite Geordie vowel by asking you questions like, who are that band where the guy is the lead actor, the gay guy, in It's a Sin? What's that band called?
Is the band called Years and Years?
Yes, and
What?
yes. Yes, I love it.
What's the name of that fucking sitcom? They all drink in a pub. It's in America.
Oh, cheers!
Cheers. I love it. Honestly,
I love this quiz. Cheers.
Yeah. What's the name of that band that sang "Everybody Wants to Rule the World"?
Is it how you open the podcast? Is it Tears for Fears?
I think it might be Tears. That is my favourite vowel. That's going to be definitely be my get in. Yesterday when you were doing that,
Tyne and Weir.
Tyne and Weir, and every time I heard even your other Geordie friends, like I was overhearing this thinking that's my favourite. So I didn't know one could have a favourite Geordie vowel, but that's my favourite Geordie vowel.
You should have seen how happy his little face was when Marie, Sobbage Mrs. went, I didn't give in to peer pressure.
I did. I was like a little dog. I was like, oh, she's found another one. PR.
What would you call a what would you call expensive venison?
Expensive venison. Oh, the idea.
Oh, I like this game a lot. Oh, what would you call the very famous musical written by ABBA?
Mamma Mia.
Yes.
Is this what the podcast is now?
A little bit.
I'm a fucking jukebox.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about the. I don't think it's not OCD, but it's one of those things which people would ignorantly say that's OCD of you wanting drinks to be in the correct glasses.
Yeah. So I just thought it was nice when we went from Prosecco to wine, and I thought maybe Natalie's going to suggest putting the wine in the Prosecco glass, and I was thinking, I could cope.
Aye, but would you put on a brave face?
Not.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll get you a glass. And I was like, oh, so she went, I can't serve you wine in a Prosecco glass. I went, oh, you're cut from the same cloth. And vice versa. I wouldn't have wine in I wouldn't,
So then we went to walk around the woods and I was like, so decant these into plastic glass. And Natalie was like, nah, we're walking around with these. We're fucking grown ups, man.
It felt like the classiest thing I've done all year.
We're gonna bring
we
them
took
back.
3 wine glasses into a forest. And local people were like, they've got a better life than us.
We're bumping into people because it's quite just retired folk, wasn't
They
it?
were really lovely, yeah.
Like everyone was like pension age.
Yeah.
That were chatting to. We give each of them like all of our time. Just
It was
chatting.
really lovely. And what was really nice...
So you were all steaming.
Well,
you left. You saw the state of me when you left.
Aye.
I didn't get better after that.
Yeah.
I didn't just make a quick recovery after.
What's it like? Oh, Sloss is gone. Somebody get me a coffee and a water.
it was amazing though, because it felt like a luxury, but it was just a little thing. It was just having a glass outdoors, because you don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Walking the dog.
Aye.
And,
But other people were actually they would
complimentary
actually say,
about it, weren't
they were
they?
like, "Oh, I wouldn't have thought to bring a glass out. That's a
wouldn't
lovely
either.
idea," and it felt like a luxury.
Yeah, because well, first of all, walking round with wine glasses, the only time I can ever think you'd ever do that is either one at a shit industry party or an art gallery. But I guess if you do live in a
But isn't it
lovely
funny?
area,
All you do is
and also like when people say don't drink in the streets, they don't mean that. Like that's not who the police are stamping down on.
Listen,
It's a bunch of people drinking fucking
This is
Pims and
interesting.
Cava.
I didn't find out till lockdown that you are legally allowed to drink in the street in Edinburgh, and you're not in Glasgow. I didn't know that.
Because of the Fringe Festival rules have to apply.
Is that why?
all year.
Really? Well, they
And
dropped
also,
the-
Edinburgh's just, I mean, no offence to you as a Ouija, I mean, I'm not even in Edinburgh, but I live here, so I feel I have to defend it. Glasgow's funner than Edinburgh, but Edinburgh's safer. Edinburgh's nicer and calmer, and
They're
you
going
know.
to take that glass home and rinse it.
When you're talking about Glasgow, you can say any city and go, it's safer than Glasgow.
Because even though they are improving things, they're improving it from like being the worst in Europe, so it's getting better. But until it's,
I started having. Well, I started chatting to my neighbours. I don't think my neighbours have ever chatted to each other until during lockdown. Well, just nobody really. Everyone's in flats, so nobody really sees each other, and that whole giving the nurses the NHS the flat meant that we all started chatting. It was really nice actually. But then it started off with chatting, clapping on a Thursday, and then a man brought out a bagpipe, and he said that the Bagpipe Society phoned him and said, "Can you start playing the bagpipes on a Thursday when they do the clap?"
Yeah.
Because we're just asking anyone who can play the bagpipes, because he started coming out into the street every Thursday. I started getting really looking forward to these Thursdays, and then neighbours started going, "Should we bring gin next week?" I'm just going, "Yeah." And this is how we started drinking in the street. Then me and my other neighbours, who I don't know very well, but I do now, I started bringing foldaway chairs. Foldaway chairs, gin, tonic. We were at the top of the street, sat outside their house because they get the sun after
You were
7.
having a block party?
Yeah, and then we, like cats, we just followed the sun till 9 o'clock along the street. And I thought, this is a really simple gift in life. Sitting in a foldaway chair, which normally outside of COVID, you would have felt like a dick.
Yeah.
You would have felt like, why am I sitting in the street in a foldaway chair? And I would fully recommend that everyone does that.
See,
and that's why I liked yesterday so much, because it felt like that.
We feel like we really missed the chance to, like, if we were good neighbours at the start of COVID, we would have started going round to our neighbours, and just because they're a bit older, I don't know, they're not ancient, but they're definitely over 65. And they're nice, we've met them before. We definitely should have gone round and been like, "Hey, is there anything we can get you when we're at the shops?" And we didn't. And then just, and then it doesn't make you a shit neighbour, but it just makes you a neutral neighbour. But the longer you leave it, it just feels like you gradually get worse over time. And
it's too late to go now.
I don't know how friendly we'd be allowed to be with it. I don't know if they're harbouring bitterness in there.
Do you want something from Waitrose? And they went, "Yeah, I did 8 months ago."
Aye, back when my husband was alive. Thank you very much, you bastard.
That's a shame. They were lovely yesterday, though, weren't they? Those people we bumped into. And that man, he was dressed beautifully. I was complimenting him on his whole outfit.
He was like the Greeters Guild.
I was just like, "Can I just compliment you?" I said, "How you found that shade of trouser for that shirt is beyond me. That's skilled." He looked amazing. He was dressed beautifully.
He was class, just out for his walk.
Did he take the compliment well, or was he?
No, he did.
Aye.
And he had a wonderful, earnest moustache.
Explain further.
Because normally, these days, a moustache is ironic.
Oh, okay.
Like someone's doing a Movember, you know what I mean? You know how your granddad has an earnest moustache?
Oh,
Eric has an earnest
It's
moustache.
deliberate. There's no irony.
Aye.
He had fantastic hair. I had what I call HE, hair envy. I did. He had really beautiful white hair really, wasn't it a great head of hair? I was like, that's the hair you want.
Didn't you used to pretty much have an afro?
Didn't you have hair? Well, I mean,
you were pulling up photos yesterday
I
of
know,
your
I
hair.
know.
You had Sideshow Bob hair.
I did. I really did. Yeah, it wasn't quite afro, but yeah, naturally really, really tight curly hair.
Yeah.
And it was always receding though. So the problem with the receding hairline is no matter how much hair you've got, still it's a bit shit.
Aye.
And it was curly. And I just looked, I had an enormous head. And I remember I was telling somebody yesterday, I remember somebody gave me the worst advice ever on the gay scene because I had long hair.
Yeah.
And then, no, sorry, that's what I'd curly hair and I knew it was receding, so I grew it as long as you could grow it. So I grew it down to there because I knew it was going.
Yeah.
I thought, this is the one chance to grow.
Yeah, let's one last final hurrah.
Just one song.
Yeah, break
And
up
then-
sex.
But
Break up sex with your head.
Yeah, and I had just discovered I was gay with the worst look for a gay.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, "Oh, being gay is really easy. All you do is you go into a gay club and you stand by yourself, and eventually somebody talks to you." And I did, and they didn't. And I realised it was because of my hair. In fact, I remember.
What a horrible thing! Because is that true? Eddie? That's not
That is
true.
true.
Oh, it is true.
No, I stood by myself with this full head of hair.
No. But is the rule true? Now, if you were to just stand in a gay bar,
By yourself, somebody would eventually. Yeah, somebody probably would talk to you.
right?
Actually.
Okay.
But I
Just
was
because
in
if that's not true, he's a dick. What a great way to give
Oh,
a new
yeah.
blossoming
Oh, by the way,
gay
I
anxiety,
still
being
know-
like,
I
just
still-
stand still, and someone will fuck you, and then
I still know that guy, and he
Yeah.
always says to me, "Could you stop telling people I give you that bad advice?" And
Can I make the story a little bit sadder?
Oh my God.
It was
me.
No. It was before smartphones, so he had nothing to do.
oh yeah,
He was stood there with nothing to do.
It's true, and I love music. I just sat there, not moving. I stood there actually not moving. But what was interesting, you just reminded me of another thing as well. So to kind of make up for the hair, I started wearing a hat. So I would like put the hair in a ponytail and wear a hat. And then this guy came up to me and said, "Excuse me, do you mind if you take your hat off?" Like in a gay bar. And I said, "Why?" And he went, "Well, I was just having a bit of a debate with my friend." And I said, "Okay." And I didn't even answer him. So I took the hat off and he went, "Yeah, I win." I said, "Why do it? We were just saying you're only handsome from there down." He said, "The minute you take your hat off, like you really lose it." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then I got bored. I thought, well, I'm just going to have to live with this now. I wore hats for years.
Boys
The
are so
damage that
cruel.
did.
my
I
God.
know, what a cruel thing to say. But anyway, no, as soon as I cut my hair off, everything was fine. I stood
Yeah.
by myself and people talked.
Well, because
So I think my look didn't blend in. It was a bit of a me, it was a bit of a goth.
I also respect anyone because Cullen's done the same thing, which is just like, you know what, I don't know what it's like to lose hair, but Cullen just went, "This is over." Right, it's not finished there, but I'm making the executive decision to, you can't fire me,
Yeah.
I fucking quit.
And by the way, you know when loads of people who are bald say, "Oh God, I really wish I had hair." I don't, because my hair did not make me look better.
No.
So I think I look, as soon as I got used to it, because you don't know if you've got a good head
Aye.
until the day you shave it off. And then when I shaved it off, I thought, actually, I think this looks better. So I'm actually
do
glad.
You have a good head for
Do I
bald.
give good hair?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's a terrible thing to say, but you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so
You've got a decent Swede.
you got a decent Swede. What's a Swede? Like a
Head.
Aye. It's like a
you got a Swede, like an actual
Swede,
like a turnip,
It's a heed
like
Swede.
a giant. Oh, that's really funny. I think you meant like a giant turnip.
Ah,
I guess in that way,
That's
yeah.
what I do, and it's like, it's not even Cockney Raymond slang, because it's a lot more direct.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, so I shaved it off, and yeah, I was so yeah. Don't really go. Now, I would say I wish I had hair, if I had brilliant hair.
What would be like in your like fantasy
Fancy
world?
hair.
Yeah,
I tell you, it's really easy. I can do it through mime.
Okay.
Basically,
For all our listeners.
this is great for the listeners. But
Hey,
basically,
this forces people to start watching them.
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah. Okay, I'll explain it. Like
No,
like-
the cameras are on. This forces people to move
well,
to the video.
basically, I want that hair, and that you put your fingers through,
Yeah.
and it all falls into place. Like David Sylvian from Japan, who had this beautiful head of hair, and he had this big blonde fringe, and it was that kind of hair you put through it, and it just fell back again. That's the hair I desperately wanted my whole life.
I have no idea. I'm assuming that was a movie you referenced there.
No. Japan is the group that sings "The Ghost of My Life
you
Goes
bring-
Wilder Than
What was his name?
Before." David Sylvian. He was so cool.
Okay.
He was so cool. His hair was everything.
Yeah.
And I at school with my curly hair. Listen to this. This is a great story. I'm so glad we're on a podcast. Well, I thought of this. As a young man with curly hair all my life, that's him. Look how cool he is. He looks great.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, he looks like that fucking tennis commentator. What's her name?
Sue Barker.
No, it was kind of a Duran Duran kind of face, so it was
Yeah.
that kind of new romantic look. This was the most exciting thing that ever happened to me in my childhood. I had curly hair all my life, and one day I was leaning against radiators, because radiators are a given in East Kilbride. They were invented there.
Yeah.
And I had my hair like this. I put my hair like this, and then I leaned on the radiator while I was watching whatever, this TV program,
Yeah.
and then my hair was straight. And I'm like, what happened? I've always wanted straight hair in my life. What happened? It was the world's largest straightening iron. So basically, and that was before straightening irons were around.
Yeah.
So I then, this is not a joke.
Hold on,
I then, before I went out anywhere,
Bring up who invented the straighteners first of all, just so, because I know what claim's about to come up here.
oh yeah, it was me. No.
1909.
The audacity, a gay man saying he invented the straightener.
With a giant East Kilbride radiator.
Bald man.
But I mean, all I'm saying is I use those radiators to straighten my hair. And so once I realised that, I would get ready to go out, and my hair was kind of cut short here, right?
Yeah.
But it had like long curly hair, and I would get all the curls. So I knew I was a hairdresser, so I knew if you combed it while it was wet, you could make it feel a little bit straight. And then just before it was dry, I'm trying not to get up. Every night before I went out, I would basically lean. And the whole family was standing, and I was just like, I'll be 10 minutes. And I would basically go through every section.
You got a book.
On the radiator, and then stand up and just go, David Sylvian.
I mean, no, you've just said the other point. This is also a time when phones didn't exist, so it's not like he's sitting there scrolling the internet. He's just sad, like a goat that's in a fight that it's not winning.
It turns out, listen, that didn't stop me talking. I go, how is everyone?
Can somebody bring me in a drink with a big straw, please? Just leave it on the ground.
Loads of ice.
That's how everyone knew I was gay. I just sat with my arse in the air and chatted.
The only surprise is that you were a top.
So I just basically, So I mean, this was normal to me because the result was so worth it, and it must have been like the like a straightening iron. It basically worked. And that was
Do you
the
reckon
first
George
time
Foreman grill does it? You know.
I
George
think if you
Foreman
long
grill,
you could probably test that thing.
Aye. No, George Foreman grill, but that'd be more of a crimp.
Crimp.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be good? Oh, you've been grilled. But anyway, I'm a good girl, I am. I remember getting... Anyway, I bought crimpers, and I thought they came before straightening irons, but they came before cool straightening irons.
Right, aye.
And crimpers were the first... You could kind of pull your hair, your curly hair, and make it straight.
Yeah.
So I David Sylvian the hell out of that. And at school, I would... this is how gay I was. In the morning, I would have one hairstyle, go home at lunchtime, have lunch, and come back with a different hairstyle. I'm not joking. That's not a joke.
That's
not a joke.
You did costume change in East Kilbride.
That is absolutely true. And I bleached the front of my hair because David Sylvian had bleached in the front of his hair. And basically, I would go in the morning with curly hair, and then I would go home in the afternoon, crimp it like that, get rid of that, and then go back in the afternoon. And I was going, what?
Man, I would just be like, don't point it out. Like, whatever you do, don't point it out.
And
It's what he wants. It's what he wants.
The funny thing is, in my show this year, I've never really had a theme, but this is the closest I've ever had to one. The theme is I didn't think anyone knew I was gay. and it's basically me going
In
through
working class East Kilbride.
And I'm going through all the... Basically, it's just a list of all the obvious signs. Yeah. And that would have been one of them. Not many people were changing their hair at lunchtime.
Not at all.
No, and then some... But for me, maybe it was because it was curly.
Yeah.
So it was such a change, and it was so exciting after years of not having straight hair. I suddenly could have...
And how were the teachers? Were there any comments about this?
Yes,
with the
that was once... I think one teacher, because then I would back comment, make it really high, like it was up to there. And then they tried to stop me doing that. Like, they were just like, you can't have your hair like that at school. And I think I said something really immature, like, you're just jealous because I've got hair? Like, because it was a body teacher. But no, they didn't.
You jinxed yourself there, didn't you?
But they didn't really give me... He was kind of loosely... saying, it's a bit much for school. And I said, I think it's fun. And he didn't, he wasn't strict about it. Like, you can't do
good.
that.
So that's, good teacher just being like, just a heads up, this might get you someone wanted attention. And you were like, don't care. And he's like, I know, I did my job. Yeah. Like, I tried.
I was like, what are you talking about? It's better to be a goth than gay. But in a way, I think it diverted attention because I think...
That is actually a very good point that you've just raised there, that it's better to be... Oh, wait, you said it's better to be goth than gay, because I would...
No, because when I was younger, I wasn't ready to come out, right? Yeah. There's not that there's anything wrong with being gay, it's lovely. Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be lovely.
Did you also feel like you didn't have the need to come out because everybody knew?
Well, I don't think he knew everyone knew. Was that the...
I think if you asked them all, they'd all say, "Oh my God, we knew." Like they would all say they knew.
Because they would really try to hide your shock after, like, you know what you're getting for Christmas, but like you still.
In my head, I was.
Oh yeah, but I also think it's important one thing, and this is one thing I've learned from gay friends of mine who have come out, which is apparently, like, if you go, I'm gay, and everyone goes, we know, that's not a class feeling, because it's like this is like you've arrived.
We've been talking about you behind your back.
No, not even in that sense, but like to come to any form of certainty of your sexuality or your gender, any sort of thing in your personal journey, even though other people arrived at the conclusion before you, like, it was still a journey for you to get there, and it's very sort of underwhelming and unsupportive for you to finally have the courage to say something.
It's a huge moment.
Yeah.
It's a huge moment. And weirdly, when you say it out loud, it's the first time you've really, really told yourself as well.
Right. Yeah.
That's huge. I remember thinking, if I don't say it, then it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a big moment when
Who was the first person you told?
My friend Julie. I'm still friends with her now. I used to almost tell her. Because I used to go to Strathclyde Uni. This is a really weird story, but I used to go to Strathclyde Uni, which was quite cool, gothy, with all my gothy pals. Right. And I would leave early when I was drunk to stand and watch people come out of gay bars because I couldn't believe they had the nerve. I couldn't believe they had the guts.
Oh, really?
You saw them as inspirational.
I was drunk and I would stand and go, oh my God, they've actually told people. Like, I couldn't do that. So I was really like, like a young guy who wasn't confident about coming out. And
just standing at a gay bar with your trench coat on, with your booze in the pockets.
But it sounds really creepy, doesn't it? I didn't really mean to sound like that. Basically, it was more that they were helping me build up the confidence because I had to see people who were confident about it. So I saw them leave. It was basically we were all waiting for the bus in George Square to go back to East Kilbride. So it was me killing time, and I'd left a bit early because I was drunk. And it was like the drunken part of me knew that I was going to turn out gay.
But are you drunk at school here?
No, not at school. This was a bit later on.
Oh, right. So sorry, when you said that, Strathclyde, you just mean your time in...
in East Kilbride. So I would kind of go... I would leave a bit early and go, God, they've all told people they're gay. And I was like, that's amazing. And I was like, well, maybe I could do that one day. But I had to see them kind of doing it. And it was like they were real. If I could see them, they were real. And then gradually, I would, in Strathclyde Uni, I would start to suggest to my friend Julie that I had something to tell her one day.
Okay.
And then I would start to tell her and then make up a lie about something else. So that, because it was like,
one day you're like,
you can't go back. So I thought, if I tell her, that's it.
Yeah, then it's
official.
Yeah.
And then I got too frightened of that. I'm not ready.
Yeah,
and then one day
So you'd set her down and be like, Julia, because I wanted to tell you, I've felt this way for ages. I've finally got the confidence to tell you. And you look up and she's making eye contact with you, a good support friend. And you just checking out and you're like, I'm celiac.
Yeah.
She's like, I guess today's not the day then.
Yeah. Julie, I've just been sitting on this for a while, but I like the coffee revels.
I've never had the guts to tell you this. I'm Spanish.
See.
I see now. But yeah, so...
I've never had the guts to tell you this, Julie, but you're gay. God, I'm getting closer every time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God! Right, today's the day. I think I might be straight.
And then she's shocked. What?
And yeah, it was really interesting because she was very attractive.
Yeah.
So a lot of for a wee while, people thought she was my girlfriend, and that got people off the scent a little bit.
And was that good? Like, was that like a nice disguise?
It was good because it made me feel a little bit calm, like it was less pressure.
Yeah.
To come out.
Just okay, and I'm glad you did that in your journey. I'm very glad you did that in your journey. But can I just say, on behalf of all the straight men that existed back then, fuck you for taking the hot girl off us.
Yes, I'm with you.
We were all
on
sat there being like, no, she's with that guy.
My other decoy was. People said, when I told people I was gay, they went, I'm so surprised because you really, really fancy that Madonna. That's That's the big gay sign. So Fancy and Madonna. Oh yeah, have you heard the way he talks about Madonna? He's definitely not
He's
gay.
obsessed.
It was so funny. But yeah, so people thought that I've had, and then my friend Gillian said to me, the funniest thing about you coming out was, she said, I always thought you were so chaste, and I really admired you for how unsexual you were, because you were so respectful of women, and you never talked about them the way that men did. You weren't interested sexually. And she said, and then you turned gay, and you thought, oh God, no, he's not non-sexual at all. So it was quite interesting, that she saw that as chaste.
Yeah.
So when you come out to Julie, had you already done gay things yet?
No.
So there was no disguise out there who knew you were gay, and it was just the people in your community that didn't know.
Yeah, I don't think I had done.
So literally nobody knew.
Yeah, I think I was. Again, that was the other thing. It's not just once you say it, once you do it.
Aye.
You're more like that. You can't go back then, can you? So I think I don't think I had done anything.
God, that would have been so funny if you just come out to your mate and all that when shagged the guy just went. Ugh.
Oh, no, I got that way wrong.
Oh my God.
Julie, come back.
Julie, come back. You're the prettiest person I know.
Just snap Julie's neck.
I love that. So basically, go by your theory, her reaction should have been, when I say I think I'm gay, her reaction should have been, have you tested it?
Yeah, aye.
Have you tested yourself?
Where's your where's your poof? Where's your proof? So
Oh, that's Freudian. That's Freud. Where's your proof? I want full proof.
I think you can find out if you're gay on a dry run. Like if you watch gay porn and like it, I reckon it's like you never need to actually.
You know if you fancy.
I think so, but I've also when I was single, every 2 or 3 years I would get drunk and kiss a bloke and just go, let's just check. Let's just get feelings come up, they come out, and each time it's happened most of the time it's been like on stage, like drunk.
Every year at the same time I'm near him, just like
one day it'll be me.
Then he just walks past us.
Now you make me think that I could just not girls for years and just gone, just testing,
just checking. And it's not your fault. Like Tom Ballard, we got really drunk at the drunk cast, got chatted on by an audience. Obviously, ended up pulling him. He's a good kisser. It's not for me.
Yeah.
No.
I kissed Elliot Steele once because two lesbian girls said that they would kiss.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you an American Pie?
We did. and we kissed and then they laughed and didn't.
God bless those women.
No, Daniel, I'm not an American Pie. I'm in the real world, and it sucks way harder than teen movies. And when I say teen movies, I was in my 30s. He was a teenager.
Craig, can I ask you about your
taste in music changed when you came out?
Well, you've already told us you were obsessed with Madonna, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, well, I remember having this moment where I was wearing that long coat. That was a big coat, and I was. This was the real moment I came out. Actually, I was in Crystals. You know how small towns always have very highfalutin names for their nightclubs.
Yes.
We had a place in East Quebec called Downtown Miami. I mean, what?
Yeah.
It's called Downtown Miami. Nothing like Downtown Miami, one would imagine. But anyway, I was in Crystals. I was wearing my long coat, and they were playing "Bring On the Dancing Horses" by Echo and the Bunnymen, and I was doing my Echo and the Bunnymen dance with my long straightened fringe on a radiator, and I was just like dancing about, just going, oh God, I just love being so alternative. And then they played. I heard do 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 do, and you could dance. It was Madonna, and I was like, oh my God, I really like her as well. And I was walking off the dance floor, and I was like, I can't dance to this. I can't be seen.
And then your hand just starts going.
It was like, it took over me. Yeah. It was like I was walking off dancing to the Bunnymen, going, I can't do the Bunnymen and Madonna. You're either one or the other, Craig. And then this gay guy went, you're gay! And I ran back and went, and you can dance! I was doing all the moves from the video, and it was like everyone went, oh, he's always been gay! We can tell when you're dancing!
Poppers start going, doves flying everywhere.
You've just reminded me of it's amazing what you divulge in a podcast. You've just reminded me when you go to Singapore and you do that gig in Singapore.
Oh yeah.
And there's a place called I think they actually call it the 4 Floors of Horror.
The 4 Floors of Horror.
And they took me there because I wanted to see what your life is like.
Hold on. Kai's life. Let's fucking.
I was in there in a smoking jacket.
Yeah, and I remember.
Craig, what brings you to Singapore? I didn't know you were going to be here.
What I meant is, all the comedians were going there. And
Do you want a beer or a queer? We've got them all.
Or a hua.
Or a here.
Anyway, so we were going there, and the comedians were going. And I thought, well, I want to see what it's like. And the 4 floors thing was intriguing to me. So it was like a different level of whoredom, if that's what you call it. And downstairs was like the trainees, and
That's not what they call them. That's not
The work experience.
no, seriously,
no. It wasn't trainees. It was
no, there was no. Listen, they were
remove the I.
Teenage.
Tinnies. There's an R.
Are you? Oh my God!
It's a tinny.
I removed the R.
Is that not a tinny? Is that not an Australian beer? A tinny.
It was low hanging fruit.
I missed it somehow.
Tripped
Just low hanging
over.
fruit just hit us in the face. But where?
Anyway, I remember going to this place, and the trainees, there was a bar. No, there weren't. No, there weren't.
Oh my God!
Has he just got it?
He's just you
Daniel!
stupid.
That's a slur.
I didn't say it. It was. I can't explain this joke. It's horrible.
All right, don't say it. I want to live in my naivety.
Okay.
I want to live in my naivety.
It's how in Australia would say a slur. A bunch of trainees.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. It was meant to be like a slipped-in joke.
Can
Just
someone phone the man who invented editing and thank him? Because this will be cut. Anyway, so don't say
Ironically.
Don't say what you're thinking. I knew you were thinking that. That's awful.
stop. We're better than Chappelle.
You're
We're better than
terrible,
Gervais. Not
Muriel.
at comedy, but just
You
as
are
people.
terrible, Muriel. So, yes, we went on the first floor, and the first floor had a bar, and the girls on the bar dancing were trainees. So the ones who were talking to me were saying, oh, these girls are just starting off, so they were build up the confidence just by kind of dancing. And I said, oh, this is quite interesting. Of course, I was so gay, some of the guys were, oh, God.
You just saw you in an empty room.
The girls just, the guys thought the girls were really hot, and all I could think was, that's not even what Beyonce does in the video. Like that's all I could think was, I need to re-choreograph this. Like,
And also, what is she wearing?
Yeah.
Beyonce would not be caught dead in any of that.
Anyway, apparently I look like a Glaswegian heterosexual, because a girl comes up to me and she says, do you want to play pool? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do now. And I said, because I quite fancied playing pool. So I said, yes. And she said, okay. And then it was all leaning over, playing pool. Like, I thought, oh no, she thinks I'm interested. And I was going, I don't know when to say, oh, I've got myself in a situation. And she kept on like playing pool really suggestively.
You just kept potting the brown.
Yeah, she kept. And what?
You're losing a lot of
What
points.
a horrible expression. And it's. Well, yes, I'm not even going to say more. Anyway, so she would do the. That's real.
Yeah, you're on the pink just going. Do you get it yet?
I'm getting sick.
Oh my
Would it
God.
help if I put 2 of them in my mouth?
Oh my God. So yeah, I was doing all this, and then they played Madonna. Madonna seems to have saved me or outed me every time they played Madonna. And the girl said, do you want to dance? And as soon as I danced, she went, oh, are you gay? As soon as she saw me dancing. And apparently that was how I
Like it just sword swallowed the pool cue when the song come on.
Yeah, so yeah, Madonna has outed me accidentally.
Yeah.
Do you, because you were talking about, that was when we were in Singapore together, because one of the first international gigs I'd ever done was with you in Singapore, where we also went to Bali and Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta.
Yeah. People don't know this, but I was told to look after Daniel. Remember when I don't know what age you were.
I was about 19.
Yeah, and I was like,
So
I
his
think he's
leash
perfectly
was just tied to a fire hydrant outside of 4 floors of halls. Like, Chris, look after Daniel.
Look after Daniel. Do you know, he's quite, and I was like, I think he's perfectly capable of looking after himself, until I saw his shorts, and he was using swimwear as daywear, and I was like, this is Sydney, Australia. You cannot walk down the street in swim shorts. Like,
Craig goes, he goes, you want to go for lunch? And I'm like, sure. He's like, I'll be ready in 10 minutes. And I went, how far away is lunch? He went, 10 minutes. And they looked at me and went, 30 minutes, we're going shopping. I can't be
30
seen with you
minutes
like
for
that. And I'm like, but they're shorts.
Yeah, but they're for the pool, Daniel. And I was like, no, you need to buy nice short, like proper. And then we bought. I remember them. They were burgundy shorts you bought, and they were really nice shorts. And you were actually quite chuffed with them, but they were really nice. It's basically we're just getting. I
think it was also the first time I'd ever spent more than like 30 quid on an item of clothing, which like I was like, I could spend this on booze.
Well, by the way, if anyone's got a mental image, they weren't Speedos. They were like big, baggy, multicoloured, massive. But they were.
My swim shorts. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they had like ducks and rainbows on them.
You know what's funny about this? I remember coming down to a restaurant on tour. It was a hotel lobby restaurant, a nice hotel, and I was wearing like swim shorts, and you were like, go and get changed.
See,
it's so funny hearing that you were in my position, and then got that from him, and then just were like down your nose.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's how you learn. That's what I could have done. I could have been like, hey, I'm going to save you some embarrassment. According to the case, like, this isn't on, and we'll do better if we do this. But because I dealt with it, and also I just like looking down my nose at you anyway.
I've ended up in a fucking pact that I don't want to be part of.
Oh, hold on, before you get to your shopping pact, I just want, when we were in Kuala Lumpur, I don't know if you remember this, but time
that you were introduced as, this is Daniel Sloss, he's young, hung, and full of spunk.
Young, fun, and full of cum.
Full of cum. And I was like, what introduction is that? And
you asked yourself to be brought on stage?
No. So we were on this gig and it was terribly fucking run. That was the first one in Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, really bad. There were about 40 people in the room, all fucking spread out. We tried to get the compere to bring them to the front. He didn't. And then when they wouldn't, then he eventually tried after we pressured him to, and then he just yelled at them until they all moved. It was a really bad gig. But there was the other Kuala Lumpur one, which was in a pub, and I just remember because you went on and you smashed and you came off, and because it was all to fucking British expats, right? There was this big fucking British guy who during your just hated it. You could just tell he was a fucking homophobe, but that was his problem straight away from the dancing and everything, just that fucking whatever. And then you came off and I was trying to tell you that he fucking hated your set, and then you went over and just doing your straight Glasgow voice that you do, convinced him that it was an act that you'd done. Yes, you went up and it was the funny. Me and Francesca Martinez were pissing ourselves laughing because you were just there being like, mate, don't worry about it. It's just a fucking act, man. I actually find it.
Sometimes put on a poofy shake, man, for a laugh.
That was it. And
he probably did that just to see if he would believe me.
He did, and he was so relieved. He was like, oh, I get it now.
I'm sure I must have told him, I'm sure I would have actually not let that go ahead.
You probably towards the
corrected
aye.
But the thing I remember most about that gig was, so the guy, I couldn't believe when he said, this is Daniel Sloss, young, hung, and full of cum, and I thought, wow, what an introduction. Yeah. And then he rapped me on, and he went, so this guy's coming from Glasgow, and he's got bald hair and a kilt. And I was like, stop it! What a terrible introduction. Just say it. The next comedian is called Craig Hill. It was awful. He rapped me on.
Oh God!
He really did. I remember it.
I did have a question about your front bottom.
Yes. Now I've had my front bottom lined recently, and honestly, it looks amazing. Because it gets damp, and it stops it getting damp. And I've had a party in it.
Okay.
Yeah, because, well, I knew what I was going to put in it, but I thought, well, let's have a party first before you put everything in your front bottom. So I had a party in it, and then I found out it's got Wi-Fi.
Oh,
I put fairy lights in it.
Am I right in thinking that you've currently got a wet front bottom?
Well, yeah, because my neighbour watered it this morning. So, yeah.
I heard that phone call.
So my front bottom is what I call the little... cellar under the road, outside, at the front, down the bottom.
Okay, yeah.
So it's a little cellar, and I've often called it my front bottom.
But it's outdoors.
It's outdoors, and it's got fairy lights. But it's just lovely, the idea. Fairy lights, Wi-Fi, and music in your front bottom.
It's
brilliant. I don't know, nothing says party like that.
Yeah. It would bring you back to front bottoms.
Yes, it would. It would. And we were in the car today, and my neighbour said, do you want your front bottom watered? And I went, oh, you're such a delight. Thanks so much. Thanks for doing that.
But you said something like,
of
course I want a soaking wet front bottom.
I said soggy.
Soggy, that was it, soggy.
Yes, and it was basically, there's a wee window box there too.
We've named the podcast.
So, yeah, so we're that's allowed to be called. Anything in, my front bottom needs weeded.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it does happen, I mean, this time of year. You could just let the sun dry out and hope that it, like, falls off itself. But if you want to,
Nobody wants a sun-dried front bottom.
no, it does make it sound like it's from Marks and Spencers.
Oh my God.
Why don't you try this delicious range of sun-dried front bottoms?
Remember I was saying that yesterday when we did live floor show years ago, and it was like the first 2 weeks, and I'd never been on TV before, I don't think, and basically, we filmed it on a Thursday and we were off on a Friday. It was so exciting. So it was like Monday to Thursday, but off on a Friday. So on a Friday, I remember being in Marks and Spencer's in Edinburgh, and this woman and her daughter come up, and I think it's the first time anyone had ever recognised me, and she said, "Oh, hi, we just want to say we really enjoy the show." And I said, "Oh, that's really nice." And we just chatting away. And then her daughter sheepishly and kind of nervously got her mobile phone out, and she looked like she wanted to ask me a question. So I said, "Oh, do you want to take a wee photograph?" And she went, "No, I just got a text." Oh my God, I just looked totally up myself. I was mortified.
Mate,
Steamroll over that, just getting that, we're getting a photo.
Man, I do that all the time. When any fucking fan introduces themselves to me, whether it's in the street or whatever, the first thing I'll just say to them is, "Do you want a photo?" Because either it's on 90% of their minds,
and you've done them a favour,
and they've done a favour because they don't know how to bring it up. Also gets the conversation over, because that's all they want. They want to talk for a bit and then the photo. But there are the times you go, "Do you want a photo?" and they go, "Nah," and you go, right, it would be polite for you to say, "I was being polite." I was being polite.
Can we just do this dance now?
I understand that you don't want it, but can you not see how I do this for other people? And even though you don't want a photo, that it might be good for you to encourage me to do this more often. So why don't you be a good cunt so I can continue being a good friend? Send this to your mum, please. Tag me in it.
I often force either hubbies or parents to have photos they might not want to have, because when they get a photo, it's always the guy taking it.
Yeah.
And then they'll go to walk away and I'll get, "And you want one as well, don't you? Come on, just in case they do."
They might not want to ask.
9 times out of 10 they probably can't be asked, and then they'll get a photo they don't want. But for the shy ones, I always put it forward.
Speaking of fans, I just have to apologise to Kaelin, not my son, Kaelin, the fan who came to our air quotes preview on Friday and outside. And he was like, "Oh, Daniel," and I was like, "Oh, hey," and he brought me a spliff, and I was like, "That's so funny."
Lovely boy.
Great, immediately great. He's like, "It's gonna be shit," and I'm like, "Mate, you rolled me a spliff." And even when I'm at home, it's in Stirling, you don't have to roll me joints. I've got weed at home, but you're a great guy. Thanks. Did the photo, me, him, and Gareth, and then he watched me bomb and eat shit for 30 fucking minutes. To an absolutely, I can't say unplayable because Craig played it and did well.
Yeah, it was just too bright a room, really.
I feel like it's a sad day to die to a patron. There's so much investment in us to then.
Oh man, I was
to then give them a bad
It took
week.
all of my fucking willpower to not smoke that joint out of the car window on the way home.
Really?
I showed Natalie the picture of the room last night. I mean, it's the brightest room you've ever seen.
I performed in there on Thursday, and they've got skylights all across the ceiling. It's an attic gig, and it's so brightly lit from outside.
The Talbot Theatre itself, the actual theatre they have, is a beautiful room, a really beautiful room, but it's like 400, so it's not for previews.
And if it was dark, it would have been better. But I think the audience felt a bit self-conscious as well because it was so bright.
You could see the film.
Oh man, let me tell you on fucking Friday. So
I took out my contact lenses for the Friday because I thought it was weird that we could see the audience so clearly. And actually, I think that's why I ended up having a nice gig.
You also definitely went on with the right fucking attitude, which is what I was doing as well. Which is we both saw Gareth doing his set, and just this audience just give it pretty much fucking nothing. Now it's not entirely their fault because the room wasn't set up great and it's awkward. It's hot and whatever. But
it was hot. Yeah,
it was very, very fucking hot. But they also, man, it just wasn't all a comedy audience. It was like I still felt that we were fucking hitting people who just go to the art centre to watch whatever's on.
But then one or two people in amongst that have come to see us that would rather be sat in a proper crowd rather than the crowd away.
It was. I watched Gareth and I was like, well, this is just going to be fucking hell. But I'll go through it anyway. I'll do it. I've made the promise. I'll do the fucking gig. You went on, did really well for what the room was, and I was like, oh, it is there
because I had no contact. And I actually really, I met a lot of them when they came in, so I thought they were quite nice. But it was more the room just didn't feel right.
That's the way. Lovely people when I met them.
They were lovely people. But the balcony view was worth the whole weekend.
It was.
I mean, I'm genuinely going to ask them, that's the best view in the whole of Stirling.
Easily,
That's
yeah.
the best rooftop garden.
It's just like
and basically, it's not a garden, it's obviously, but if you
It's about 3 feet by
It's
9
fantastic.
feet of
Exactly.
brick.
I'm-
Just this edge. But you go out and then there's just the hill and the
my
Wallace
God.
monuments
Wallace-
behind
it's
it,
beautiful.
and the sun setting there, and it's just overlooking all of Stirling. And you're like, why is this a venue?
I was like, honestly, I said to them, oh, did you hear what that woman's name was? The woman who ran the venue. What a brilliant name. Her name is Christabel. Christabel. And I said, oh, that sounds...
Christabel?
Her name was Christabel.
So it's like Christabel.
And I said, Christabel, I said, oh, that sounds like a wee fairy name. And her surname is genuinely Christabel Wandless.
Fuck off.
That is her real name. Maybe we shouldn't say that on the podcast, but she wouldn't mind because her name is fantastic. That's a real person's name.
Great.
Anyway, she's the person apparently I would ask. Because
Christabel Wandless.
Christabel Wandless. I said to her, is that really your name? She's like, 100%.
Be a good drag name.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It would actually. Poor Christabel, the real poor Christabel Wandless. Go, thanks. Anyway, she's the person I would contact apparently. So I don't know if they would let me do this. I would hire that beautiful rooftop view with 6 stools. If you just had a small, 6 people celebrating something small, 6 stools, a bucket of ice and some wine in the corner and a little DJ, or maybe just a boogie box, which aged me the other day when I said it. That's what Connor Burns said to me. Oh, that really ages you, that boogie box reference. But anyway, so we put on some music. But I mean, it would honestly, like, any one of my friends would walk in and go, how did you find this place? This is a beautiful view. And you would just be a short party for a couple of hours, because Marlena, our agent, was suggesting I hire the room, but I wouldn't need the room. I would only need the balcony.
Yeah, unless you were growing tomatoes or...
Which you would do hugely successfully.
Anything other than a gig.
yeah.
Yeah, you could grow a gig in there.
Oh, you
But it was
cannot.
hot. It was hot,
We've
yeah.
tried for 3 years and that's that.
Me and our Newcastle friend with his love of vowels went to Barnard Castle, which I think I asked the audience. Now, do tell me, is it Barnard or Barnard? Because I think if it's posh round here, it must be Barnard. Turns out it's not. It's
Barnard.
spelled, pronounced the same way as Learned. It's
That-
Barnard.
Do you know, I said to Natalie when I was saying, I was like, it's such a lovely village. It's such a shame that Matt Hancock fucked it by getting his hearing test here. And Natalie was like, it wasn't an eye test. It was Dominic Cummins. And then realised I was joking. I was trying to try and play it out that was her Mandela effect.
Yeah, it was lovely. And this is probably not very interesting, but I got 2 loaves of bread for the price of one.
He charmed a baker.
How'd you do that?
Because I just charmed her.
Just went in.
I said to her, I can't even believe the standard of bread in Barnard Castle. And I went, he's having a barbecue tomorrow, and if you think I'm going home without sourdough, you're up a gum tree. And she said, you're so much fun, I think you should have 2 for 1. And she gave me 2 loaves for the price of 1.
There you go.
And it was gorgeous, wasn't it?
really nice,
and I was moaning yesterday because I don't know why do people don't moan about this. Cutting bread is exhausting. Have you ever tried to cut bread? Honestly, see, like a decent loaf of bread, right?
That's why the phrase "the best thing since sliced
We
bread"
were saying that
exists.
yesterday. We were saying that's where it comes from. Like, it's the best thing since sliced bread, which acknowledges the fact that not sliced bread is indeed difficult. My friends are always saying to me, I can't believe the amount you moan about how hard bread is. It's just easy. Well, have you heard the sentence, best thing since sliced bread? That changes everything.
So
anyway.
there's a comedian called John Whale who pointed out that there's bread slicer. You might want to fact check this, Matthew. The bread slicer was invented the same year as penicillin, and people chose the bread slicer for the catchphrase.
Yeah. Oh, there you
Really?
go.
Well, I remember, that's right, I remember someone saying that. And yesterday in your house, I could see why it's a problem. So basically, the bread moves.
Yeah.
So I was like, is there not a thing you can stick in the
Just hold it fucking down, like through a fish's head while you descale it. Just
Yeah, penicillin, bread slicer.
I want an ABH, an aggressive bread holder. Just want it to stay still. And so there must be something that keeps the bread
what about
still.
when you're cutting turkey, you use that like tuning fork?
Well, maybe like that. But anyway, I don't think it's a tuning fork.
No, he's an idiot. It's a tuna fork.
Yeah, I use
Tuna
it.
fork. No.
I use it on chicken.
And now I often do chest my turkeys and go, It's beautiful. It's like practically Barnard Matthews. Anyway, that's been in my head all weekend. Barnard Matthews. What's that? So anyway, I started doing the bread yesterday, and your wife actually said, "You're getting exhausted, aren't you?" I was going almost like, can someone take over?
Yeah,
Someone rescue me from this hell.
Bread is uncuttable.
I only did half of it.
And while we're on the topic of middle class gripes, everyone who works at Lurpak Spreadable needs shot in the fucking head.
It was the first
There
ever
is-
fake
there
news.
is- There is nothing spreadable about Lurpak Spreadable. I don't know if you're not meant to keep it in the fridge, which seems odd since it's
No, you
butter.
keep it in the fridge.
If you put Lurpak Spreadable in the fridge, all it does is it removes all of the bread from your bit of bread, and you're just left with crust.
Aye.
It's like fucking bread Velcro, man. It doesn't spread. It doesn't get any fucking.
I think you're putting it too high up your fridge. I have no press spreadable. Not
in
in
his
my
freezer.
front bottom, but I put it in my fridge bottom.
Oh, you're free.
Yeah, and I take it out.
Hold on, are different parts of the fridge different temperatures?
I think they're higher up. Yeah, I mean, I'm no fridge expert. But, I'm really going to study that now. But yes, no, I think higher up in the fridge is colder. So maybe that's maybe.
But hot air rises.
Yeah, well, not in a fridge. I'm making that up. Anyway, can I just finish my bread
Yeah,
story?
sorry, yes.
During lockdown, when we all went mad and we suffered from what I called Amazonesia, where I would drunkenly order things and then they'd arrive and I go, well, who ordered that? It clearly wasn't me. But that's how I have an electric knife. Because one day I was doing the bread and I thought, I bet you a 1972 electric knife will solve everything. And it doesn't. It's like, I did it. The bread, I was so excited. I went out to buy bread especially. I thought this is going to be the easiest cut of my life. And I plugged it in. And it was like carpal tunnel. Honestly, it was the worst thing ever. The whole thing was like shaking. I was like, it's supposed to be like not aggressive. I was frightened. It was like a horror movie because it's pretty scary. You have to be careful with them, but it vibrates too much, and that went straight back in the box, and that's getting re-gifted. If anyone
Not sent back.
Crumbs all over it.
I'm going to re-gift it to one of my straight friends who has
Yeah.
lower standards.
Yeah, do you know, it would be perfectly fine if you wanted to cut a Bernard Matthews turkey. It's probably for that more. It says it's for bread, but honestly, it was really struggling. It was just as exhausting as using a knife. I mean, maybe I need to up my knife game. Maybe. I mean, your knife was quite good yesterday, I thought.
Well, because I would never think to, like, I've got knife sharpeners, and I obviously use that. I don't really know what I'm doing, but
You
like,
can't use that on your bread knife, though.
Well, can you not?
Not unless they're rated, I don't. Well, maybe you
sure.
can.
No?
I don't know.
I don't think so. Nah.
Well, sure. Well, I get that it wouldn't make the higher bits in the serration any necessarily better, but it certainly would get the lower bits, and that's the initial.
Surely that would it not? I don't know.
I'm
we're
not being the
knife
guinea pig.
expert. Surely that would round off your little sharp edges.
Well, no, because it's not. I mean, this one I've got, it's not like a file, and you're not like running it over the top. You're doing it at angles, so you're just making those serrations get narrower. I mean, in my head, in theory.
I didn't think so.
God, what a dull conversation.
Yeah, red chat.
I didn't.
Well,
I didn't think we should talk about this on my podcast. We should do this in the garden.
Yeah. Craig, you have a show on at the Fringe this year. Would you like to promote that?
Yes, by sharing the title.
Yes.
Mainly. And this title is "I Always Knew I Had It in Me."
Nice. You've always got excellent titles, Craig.
Well, it might sound like
Craig,
a fruit, but
my favourite one of yours, and this is before I think you and me knew each other, but the one that always stood out, because I didn't get it until I heard somebody say it out loud, like on the
All right,
poster.
okay.
I just thought I was like, oh, yeah, it's a cool name for a show. Craig Hill makes your whole week.
Yes.
Yeah.
For so long, I was just like, well, I bet he does. I've seen him live. This is great. And then you said Craig Hill makes your, and I went, I am a dumb man.
Yep.
I am a dumb, stupid man, completely over me.
yeah, it looked
Craig-
innocent. That W
Yeah,
softened
yeah.
the blow.
Craig Hill's blown by a fan.
Yeah, I got that one.
was it-
Because
fan
I mean, I literally put
And-
a fan in the photograph.
And Craig Hill's Come on the Lads.
That was inspired by you, wasn't it? Weirdly. I was,
Thanks, man.
I actually
Thanks, I
phoned you
appreciate that.
because I had this I don't know why I had a photo shoot of me in an Adidas top looking like I'm kicking a ball, but that's what it looked like. And then I said to you, what is an expression that you would use during football? I don't know. I needed something football-y.
Yeah. Something football-y.
And you said, come on, the lads. And I burst out laughing straight away and thought, oh, that's a good title. But yeah, so this one, I always knew I had it in me. But it's basically, it's interesting because I never really have a theme because I like to just put in the show whatever I think is funny.
And also, you truly are one of the best at like audience interaction.
Well,
and
I love
improv.
that. Yeah, I love doing that. So, but actually, it's a little bit like I always knew how to make. I always knew I was going to be a performer. I always knew I was probably going to be a little bit gay. So it's a little bit about that. That's right. So it kind of fits the
Are we on in the
show.
same venue?
I think we are in a brand new venue.
The brand
which
new,
is,
just
I
the
don't think it's
tonic
ever been
one?
used before.
No.
So it's actually called Greyfriars Charteris, that church.
Is it?
Yes, it's a bit of a
Say that
boring
again.
name. Well, yeah, it took me a while to learn it. Greyfriars Charteris is the name of the church that we're in. And I don't know what that word Charteris means, but it doesn't roll off the tongue. But anyway, it's on, so I just describe it to people. It's just up from the Pleasance on the left-hand side, and it's an old church further up the road.
And the Pleasance Courtyard, not the Pleasance Dome.
Yes, and it's run by Just the Tonic, and the actual venue is called Just the Tonic Nucleus.
And what time is your show on?
I think it's on at 7:15. You're on early.
I'm on 5:45. Yeah, that makes sense because I'll be done, and then we've got half an hour.
That's the I'm a dad now time.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just a very lazy, cheaty boy this year. I'm just I've done. This will be my 12th or 13th Fringe, so just doing it with the bumpers up.
Really?
Aye.
I always said, years ago, Tim Vine, I think, didn't do it, and he paid money for a poster. I said I said something like Tim Vine's not doing the Fringe, and everybody talked about it. It was really interesting. And it was a brilliant thing to do, and I always thought if I did have a fallow year and decided I'd like to not do it and just go and see stuff. If I did do that, which I can't really imagine me doing, but if I did do it, I would do that. I would have a poster and it said, because I still want a double entendre, so I would have a poster that said, Craig Hill's having it off. And that's what I would do if I ever took the year off. But I can't imagine. It's a bit daft to take the year off in a way, because if you live in Edinburgh and you do stand-up comedy
on your
and it's your
doorstep,
job,
yeah.
why would you not do it during the Fringe?
Which is what my thing this year. I was like, I'll always do it in something. You can't not. It's the best festival in the world, and we say this.
I would love to go to it. It sounds really weird because we're in it.
Yeah.
But I would really, really love to be a punter. Really, I see things all the time. Think, God, if I didn't have this thing to do, I would relish it. I would go and see loads of stuff.
We got a bit of that in 2019 because we just did a short run.
Yeah.
Of the tour, so
but it's also I wish I could go back to when I was like 13 and 14 and going to the Fringe before I was involved in comedy, because I think now you just I think enjoying the festival in the way I used to when I was 14 is impossible now, because I'm on a different side of the curtain. Even if I was to take the fucking year off, I would just
You would still
well, because like when I watch because when I there's nothing when I watch shows,
you watch it as a critic.
Yeah, like when I watch my friends' shows, I am always trying to find punchlines for them, callbacks, things. Not trying to, it's just that's what my brain does. Watches comedy, processes it, and tries to help. And even if I were to go and see fucking shows, I think the entire time I would just be thinking, God, I should be doing a show this year. I can't believe I'm not.
That's interesting. No, but I wonder about.
You get guilt for not being there.
Yeah, because it's. I mean, when the best arts festival is right on your fucking doorstep, then.
I used to work in box office in the Geordie Balloon before I did stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it because I had leather trousers and I used to stand on a stool and write things on the chalkboard because I knew how good those leather trousers looked.
Oh, so people were advertising their shows and you were advertising yourself at the same time.
I used to sell out people's shows though, because like people would come up to you. I didn't realise, but people
just imagine walking on stage one year. You're like, why is there so many gays in my audience today? Like, why am I popular amongst bears? This is so weird.
Why are they all collected around the radiator?
Yeah. But I used to sell out people's shows because I didn't realise punters do come up to you in box office and they would say, "Oh, hi, it's 4:30. Is there anything I should see?" And the one show that I thought was amazing was this show by Geraldine McNulty. It was called One Woman and a 10 Women in a One Frock Show. And basically, she had one frock. It's a really simple idea. And she would do 10 characters. And all she would do is she'd wear this red dress and then she'd suddenly put on a beret and she'd become this French poet. And she would take her shoes off and go, Mavanda, They don't understand ya. The vexed, perplexed, what architect blend ya. So she would do. She would be like a poet as a joke, as a kind of character, and then she would to put heels on, put her hair up, and she'd put a bow on and go, "Welcome to Clairvin Cosmetics." She was brilliant, and I loved her because she was an actor. She was a comedy actor.
I've got news for you. It's Milo.
It's Milo. And I
yeah.
saw that show 4 times, and it was so funny that every time people come up to me, I said to punters, as a skint student, I said, "Go and see Geordie McNulty, and if you don't like the show, I will give you your money back out of my pocket. That's how sure I am you'll enjoy it." And they all come up to me and said, "So glad you recommended that show." And her show sold out.
Great.
Well done.
She bought me flowers at the end.
Great.
And I genuinely loved that show. It was brilliant.
Well, there you go. For anyone going to the Fringe this year, don't just take our recommendations for things, even though we will be recommending
box
people.
office.
Listen to box office and just fucking take a gamble. That's the
Because
fun
you
of
know
the
what,
Fringe.
That's the, you know, that really, for me, that was and is and should be the spirit of the Fringe. Was what me and my friends always tried to find was the thing you didn't think you were going to find.
Yeah.
So we just thought, don't know what it is.
Go see
Let's take a chance.
And it'll be like
And it's
David
more
Currier's
fun.
putting ham on his face.
Yeah, drinking 2 bottles of wine on stage and Right, Craig, thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks,
It's
man.
been an absolute delight.
Let's do it more.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Cheers. See you later, cunts.
Bye.